Anthony William, the medical medium, live right here. Reading Liver Rescue. This is a big topic. Protein, fat. Those two things, critical to know. Big topic right here. I'm reading live right here, Liver Rescue. This is a big deal. Now, this is a really important topic, protein and fat. Why is everybody talking protein? I had somebody ask me recently and say that they've been watching YouTubes. A friend of mine said, I've been watching YouTubes in health and wellness and fitness area, and everybody's just protein, whether they're young or they're older, just protein. It's just all about protein. What is this? What's going on with that? And so I said, that's because we've all been indoctrinated with a law that nobody knows about. So what you're about to hear is never before information on history about protein. You will never hear this from anywhere. And so you really have to hold on to this, and you have to watch this. I would watch this twice or 3 times, this Facebook Live, after this is posted. It's that important. And I'm reading out of the high fat trend chapter. Big chapter out of Liver Rescue. Now, first of all, I want to state this right now. This is not propaganda against any one diet. It's not against the vegans. It's not against the plant-based community. It's not against the raw vegans. It's not against the vegetarians. It's not against the paleo. It's not against the meat eaters or whatever. And it's not that at all. What it is, it's information that everybody needs to know, that needs to apply to whatever belief system that they've been working with, whatever area that they've been working with their diet. It's that critical. It's that important to understand this. Now, you don't want anybody making a decision for you, do you? Do you want somebody making a decision for you, like whatever that might be? You walk into work one day and all of a sudden a decision was made for you, and then you lost that spot in your job, or you moved, or your seat has moved now, or anything like that. Do you want anything? Do you want anybody making any kind of decision for you, regardless of what that is? Do you want to walk into a restaurant, sit down, order something, and then somebody change that decision for you and bring you something you didn't want? No one wants decisions made for them that can affect their life in any way. But guess what happened? I'm going to give you the never before history of what happened. Why we talk like protein zombies. Why we actually walk around protein. It's unbelievable. Why some of the best doctors or some of the most famous doctors are out there putting out information saying, protein, get your lean protein source. Yes, you should have protein, watch your carbohydrates. Why that's going on. And I'm going to go into more of that. I'm giving you just a window of what we're talking about. So this is a big deal. This is really important. You're holding your Liver Rescue book too. Oh my God, that blows me away right here. So let's go into this a little bit. I'm reading right out of here, right out of Liver Rescue. If you have your book, that's incredible. Reading right out of here. See, here's where it goes. The meatpacking industry worked with the government in 1933. You need to know how old this is. This is a long time ago. Worked with the government and made a contractual business decision, then joined forces with the pharmaceutical world and ultimately indoctrinated the entire conventional medical industry in a decision that made sense momentarily and put monetary interest before people's physical interests. So before your own physical interests, before your grandparents' physical interests, okay? Something was decided to put something in front of you to get you in a bad health condition later on. I'm reading right here out of Liver Rescue, you guys. This is important. These grandfathered contracts still exist in vaults somewhere, not for public display. These are grandfathered deals. Do you want somebody to make a deal behind your back that involves you? That you don't even see the contract? Would you like that? Because that's what happened. And guess what? It was the protein deal. The protein deal is what it was. These grandfather contracts still exist in vaults somewhere, not for public display. I'm reading right out of Liver Rescue. These were no cute secret cookie recipes. These were decisions made for us without any input from you or us. No votes allowed. There were no town meetings when this went down. None of our knowledge or say whatsoever in private business deals that still hinder our lives with confusion decades later. Now, let me tell you something right here, you guys. Okay? A deal was made to make you literally go on YouTube and say protein. It's all about protein. Oh, it's just protein. There's a reason for that. Because what the industry was hiding a long time ago that was starting to be discovered by science, some of science was discovering this, that high fat was bad for people. This was happening back in the early 1920s. You guys love alternative medicine, right? I mean, whether you're eating animal products or plant products, you love alternative medicine. I know you guys do. You really dig it. Many of you have suffered and struggled. You looked for doctors and doctors. You've been around. Alternative medicine knew that the word protein wasn't a great idea back in the 1920s. They knew it. There were amazing alternative clinics back in the 1920s. Yes, and many of them died, went to jail, meaning they were hung. They were put to jail. They were ransacked because alternative medicine was rising up in the 1920s and saving lives. And one of the things is they knew that high fat was bad. And they knew the word protein was a game. It was a game to trick you out, is what they knew, okay, just so you know. And so what happened was the conventional industry, they had to do something about it. They all joined forces and made decisions behind your back so that you would eat protein, protein, protein. It doesn't matter if you're plant-based or animal-based. This is not even against animal stuff. I'm talking about any place you stand, any place you are. You know, you want to be alternative. You want to be away from conventional minded thinking, many of you. I know that. You've told me that. You told me that in the lives. I mean, when I see all the comments, you told me that in the post. I see all the posts. You guys are always like trying to avoid pharmaceuticals, and you're trying to do it the best you can, and you're trying to do things that are actually working, and you're trying to eat good. You're trying to eat organic. Remember, organic was an alternative minded thinking thing. It was like if you said organic in the 90s, people looked at you like you had two heads. I remember in the 1990s, okay, and I know that's dating me probably, the earlier back I go, if you really want to date me, go to the picture in the front of the book, okay? Then you can date me if you look at the little picture of the 4-year-old in front of the book. The point is, in the 90s, if you even say organic, you were kind of shunned. You couldn't be a school teacher that walked in school and were eating something organic and told all the other school teachers, yeah, I got this organic. They would look at you like you were literally crazy. I know, I heard it from clients all through the decades that I would help with chronic illness, and I heard from it. And so what happened is that protein was taken and brought into your alternative environments. It's in everything. So if you're plant-based, it's about protein, protein, protein now. Protein powders, protein everything. If you're animal-based, it's about protein, protein, protein. And the problem is alternative medicine stayed away from protein in the older days, the whole concept, because it meant high fat, which meant killing your liver. It meant killing your kidneys. It meant killing your heart. It meant killing your body. So what happened was doctors found out, I'm reading a little bit more of the history right here. They found out pretty much in the late 60s that high-fat diets were killing Americans, killing people across the world. And so there was a low-fat movement, but it went disastrous because the 1970s low-fat movement wasn't low-fat. It was higher fat. It was higher fat with products that had chemicals in them. So the store shelves lined products in the 1970s. Look, I know many of you probably don't remember this. We're talking the 1970s. I totally get it. But the store shelves were lined with products that had chemicals in it, preservatives in it, red dye in it. You know how red dye is bad, right? The whole bit. Red dye was thrown in there, and it was all low-fat products, and people were dumping it on their food, and they were dumping it on their meat, and they're dumping it on their animal protein. But the problem was that everything was still extremely high fat, and it failed. It wasn't handled right. So here's the deal. There are healthy fats. There's hemp seeds, avocado, we know coconut. We know these healthy fats. I stand by healthy fats, but they shouldn't be abused. And that's what's going on. And what's happening now is even in the vegan plant-based movement, everybody's doing the protein shakes. They got all the coconut oil in there. They got the almond butter in there. It's all about nut butter. Somebody said to me on their YouTubes, they said, I watch all these YouTubes in health and fitness, that person that was telling me that before about how everybody talks about protein, and they say all they see is everybody dumping nut butter in everything. They see peanut butter coming out of jars, being put on just food. They see Okay, you guys probably see it. I'm giggling here because you probably know what I'm talking about. It's nut butters everywhere. It's just almond butter, jars of almond butters coming out, put into smoothies, put into meals. It's about that whole thing. And they're like, oh, I got to get my protein. But what's happening is they're getting nothing but their fat. And here's the deal. When you're 21 years old, you're 22 years old, yeah, you know what? Nut butter is actually a way to go. It's an amazing way to go because it's better than going to get a fast food, fried something, kind of oil, greasy, processed food or whatever it is. But it's still going to actually get the liver in bad shape later on. You got to think about your own future. So here's the deal. Protein has no calories. Always remember that. So you can't look at a nut butter and say that's a protein source. You have to look at a nut butter and say, well, there's protein in there, but there's also a lot of fat, and you have to see it that way. And the thing is that if you separate protein and fat from each other, protein itself can starve you to death, literally. There was an experiment back in the 1950s where a whole bunch of people signed up for it. It was a horrifying, death-defying experiment because what they were allowed to do was eat as much protein as they wanted every single day. They gave them bags and bags and bags of protein to eat, but they took out the fat, which is the calorie, and these people starved to death. It was literally horrific and horrifying. What happens is there's no calories in protein. So you get to build muscles to function, to live your life, to walk, to breathe, to think clearly. You need a calorie. You need a calorie, and that's how it works. And what happens is people end up eating too much fat calories. That's not the calorie to focus on. Now, listen, the bottom line is, I'm going to read something else out of here too. There's so much in here. You guys, I can't scratch this thing. You're going to have to get this. You're going to have to read it, but I'm going to read a little bit more. So the whole deal is, I'm going to give you some more too, is the diets that we have today that are high in protein but cleaner diets and healthier diets, and we know we bring in more of the vegetables. We know we bring in a little bit of fruit. Are these better than the diets, than what's going on? Yes, they are. So I'm going to read this next part out of here right now. Is it better than the processed food diets of the past? Yes. Is it giving people relief from their symptoms? Many people, yes. Temporary relief, okay? Is it curing chronic illness? No. You have to know that the diets that we have that are high fat today are not chronic illness fixers, meaning deep down into what creates your illness, what creates your disease, what creates your problems. If you're young and you feel indestructible and you've just been dealing with a little sinus stuff and a UTI once in a while, and you're doing your protein smoothies and you got all the fats in there and you're at the gym and you're doing your YouTube channels, that's all great. But can it clean up chronic illness? Can it actually get deep-seated illness better in people? It cannot. That's the problem we have today. That's why there's so many people sick. So here's the thing. Is there a special name for every new hybrid diet that's coming out? Yes. And they all, underneath the names, are the same? Yes, they are, pretty much. Although these diets may be a little different here and there, it's the same model, the same core. They're no doubt better than the old no-carb, high-protein, high-fat predecessor diets, and they do help people steer clear away from junk food, and they do lower inflammation, but they're not the answer to healing you, your family, everything else. Now, the thing is I'm talking for everyone. I'm talking for the plant-based people. I'm talking for the raw plant-based people who are actually eating the high raw plant-based diets. They're afraid of fruit. I'm talking about the animal people too. I'm talking about the paleo people too. It's everybody. The deal is there's no agenda behind it when you're actually not against someone else. You should see what happens here. The vegans, there's a lot of propaganda going on, and they're trying to actually tell the animal people, they're trying to wave their science at them, they're trying to say, hey, there's a war going on. The paleo people and the animal people are literally just throwing their science all at the vegans, all at the plant-based people. They're just literally throwing it all at them because they're all like battling, and they're all using propaganda, and they're all angry, and they're all like just at each other. And you see it every day out there, and it's so sad because they've both been tricked. What happens is that's how it's set up. It's set up so you're duped. It's set up so you're tricked. It's set up so you miss the point entirely, because the old grandfathered law that's been messing up people's lives and keeping people sick to feed the medical industry has been set back in the 1930s. It's been rigged for you. And then there's also this stuff where all these wars happen in between it, the vegans against the paleos, to confuse it all, and everybody misses the point. Listen, it's about making sure you know the truth so you can heal. You don't want to be tricked. You don't want to be bringing something super conventional into your, what you feel is your own right of having your alternative healthy movement in your life. Whatever you decide in your life, whatever aisle you like to be on, if you like to eat organic vegan food, if you like to be organic raw vegan, if you like to be organic paleo, if you like to be organic some kind of other animal protein name diet, organic vegetarian, whatever it is that you like to do, or you, that's your actual right, your right to believe and do. I want to at least not let you bring in old contracts that were there to hurt you and your loved ones decades and decades ago, a century ago it feels like, and then bring that in. You don't want to take conventional with you into the vegan movement. And that's what's happening. So when you're stuck on the protein law, you're taking that conventional minded protein sense into your vegan or paleo movement. And that's what's going on. And guess what that does? That makes it so you age fast. That makes it so your longevity becomes shortgevity later on down the road. That makes it so you end up gaining weight. That makes it so you end up damaging your liver. That's what that makes it happen. And you're going to get all kinds of things thrown at you of why and what and how. And the thing is, and it's all about you need protein. And the confusion is unbelievable about confusion. And about the protein. And here's how it works. To build muscles, you need glucose. To think, you need glucose. To function, you need glucose. Your nervous system needs glucose. Your heart is a muscle that runs on glucose, okay? Everything in your body, your brain runs on sugar. It runs on glucose. Very important. It doesn't run on table sugar. It doesn't run on processed cane sugar. It doesn't run on processed beet sugar. It runs on glucose, critical clean carbohydrates. I talk about that in Liver Rescue. Fats are fine. You just have to know how to handle them. It's not about being anti-fat, and it's not even about being anti-protein. Protein is in all food by default. It's there for you. You can't avoid it. It's there. It's there in every single food you eat. It's in a piece of fruit. It's in a berry. It's in a raspberry. It's in a potato. It's in, of course, anything. It's in animal protein if you like animal protein. Protein is everywhere. You can't avoid it. It's in fish. It's everywhere. Whatever diet you like, no matter what you do. But the point is you have to be careful on how you handle fat. If you handle fat wrong, it's going to get you in the end. I promise you this. And the problem is, by getting stuck into the protein law, you're going to over-inundate your system and kill your liver with fat. This has nothing to do with, oh, I'm trying to sell you a new whole thing or a new whole cleanse or a new this and that, or trying to sway you from your vegan diet or sway you from your paleo diet and try to throw propaganda at you. This is not that. This is about making sure you don't hurt your liver. And what I would do is I would literally read that chapter right there. If you can't get a book, go to a library. Read that chapter right there. You be the judge. You be the judge. If you don't like what I had to say today, if you don't like what I'm offering, if you don't like what I'm talking about, if you think I'm wrong, then read that chapter. I can't even scratch it. There's so much information in there. Read about it. You be the judge. Judge me. Judge me on it. Totally fine about that. The whole bit. I want to say one more thing. So what you'll find is these new hybridized diets that are happening now, where they say leaner protein, okay? I was talking about that before. They're saying leaner protein because someone's realizing the higher fat in animal protein isn't good, even in today's diets, even right now. And they're saying bring in more greens, bring in more vegetables. And you'll hear that more and more and more, because the high-fat, high-protein diets of the past literally annihilated decades of people. And you know what's interesting, you guys? When 10 years goes by, no one really cares or wants to know what happened 10 years ago. Nobody wants to know about the mistakes that were made 10 years ago to mess somebody up 10 years later. It's unbelievable. And so be careful. We have to handle the fats right. We do have to have the healthy fats, of course, but we've got to handle them good. We have to handle them right. We have to think about our liver. We got to protect ourselves. And you don't want anybody making deals behind your back, behind your family's back decades ago. And you don't want to take conventional minded thinking you're trying to protect yourself from over to your alternative lifestyle when you think it's alternative when it's not. And then you just get sucked into a trap. Look, I love you guys, and I'm just trying to look out for you. If you get damaged books from Amazon from their conveyor belt, from deliveries where boxes have holes in it, and you have a damaged book, there's no reason you should have a clean, pristine book. All you have to do is tell the company, tell Amazon, tell Barnes & Noble, tell whoever, wherever you got it, and get a new book, okay? Because I heard that's what happened, a couple of damaged books from conveyor belts and stuff like that. There were grease on the back of somebody's book and something else, so look out for that. So listen, you guys, get into this chapter. It's a huge one. The book's really huge. You know, be the judge of it. Judge me on this protein fat thing. Protect yourself. Don't stress out your pancreas. Don't stress out your hydrochloric acid. Don't stress out your liver. Don't kill your bile reserves in your liver with high fat. Try not to do that. Don't get sucked into the high protein law. Don't become that zombie that talks protein and protein and protein. Learn the truth. Protect yourself. I'll see you on the next live. I love you guys. And thanks for being here with me. The book's going great. I hope you love it.